Okay.
All right, we're on.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Off the Deep End. I'm your host, Emmy. I'm here having another evening with Ivan Teller, and it's 9 o'clock. Ivan Teller is the Master ET channeler extraordinaire that I try to interview at least once a week, and it's always a fun time. You can find him on ivanteller.com, his website, where you can subscribe to his bi-weekly webinar and ask a couple of questions that you've been really interested about knowing some answers on. And you can also find him on YouTube on his channel, Ivan Teller. But without further ado, welcome, Ivan, to the show.
Whoa, greetings. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
Happy Black Friday, last minute shopping.
Happy Black Friday, Christmas.
Black Friday, Christmas, yeah. Black Christmas, yeah. I haven't done my Christmas shopping yet either.
Are you dreaming of a Black Christmas?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, or somebody is at least.
Yeah, get your discounts
on
your last minute shopping.
This is the best year to do shopping, that's for sure. The best time of the year to do it.
Your guilt shopping.
Nobody spends money until December. So tries not to, at least.
Yeah. I always do my shopping at the last minute. That's how you know you care about somebody, that you thought about at least getting them something, Exactly. That's when you become like very imaginative, because it's like, oh, dang, what should I get them? I have like 12 hours to get them something. You're like, wait, what do they like? It's kind of like, it would be great if you were part of like some kind of game show and, use those skills towards your, game show strategy.
Well, yes, go to what store it's not busy.
Yeah.
Walmart's busy.
Yeah.
Dollar store is busy, most likely.
Yeah. Dollar store. Don't go buy something from the dollar store like a Felix Zirconia ring and slap a Macy's sticker in it.
Well, they have that new $5. Yeah, they have that new $5 less store here.
Uh-huh.
I imagine they have them in Miami somewhere.
So yeah, they have a lot of $5 shops or like cheapo stuff.
There you go.
Wholesale things.
There you go. You're not being too cheap, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I imagine the lines are pretty bad at those places. So anyway.
There's a lot of them, so there's not really a line. There are like at the malls and stuff, but I really don't go to malls because it's crazy, I hate parking at them and, waiting to go to eat at the Cheesecake Factory. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So, Essassani is here, Bashar's group, if anyone's wondering.
Oh, yay, Bashar.
Not channel Bashar, but others are more welcome to. I guess it's becoming more easier to channel. I don't know. There's plenty of other being channels, so I'm not sure if it's just going to be. It's like Neiman with the Essassani. He's like an old gray.
Mm-hmm.
Same as like elder of them. So Bashar's group is, I don't know, a different group in some ways. It's a more, I won't say narcissistic, but more I don't know what it is.
More human?
Outdoor group. Yeah, yep. Because this one's more grayish, so more alien looking.
Yeah.
At least. Anyway, so I'm not sure what this is going to be about. Might be a prediction, something. Yeah, one thing. It seems like what I can give you, or those that are watching, listening, whatever. A lot of the aliens aren't giving out a lot of information. They might be doing this for others, not through me so much, here and there. It's just not that. I don't know. It's just
not that proactive.
I don't know. They just don't want us to know certain things. They're not really giving me a clear answer of anything. So Galactic
They want us
updates.
to get surprised by
Yeah,
2017.
I mean, I was doing galactic updates pretty frequently, and then
Yeah, you were.
it kind of calmed down quite a bit. So it's like just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not making a big deal about it, but it's just it's different. So
It's good to have a little mystery
well,
every
yeah,
now
that's mostly what this is.
and
And
then.
it's also for those that are tuning in is for them to receive their own messages and updates also. So if you're not getting it from here, does not mean you can't get it on your side of the world. So
Oh yeah.
it's one way of looking at it. So
I don't know about you, but I've been seeing all kinds of repeating numbers for like the past week. It's been crazy.
that's good. It's
You know?
just signs of things that happen. Yeah, you can look those up, I guess, the angel numbers.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
know you could look them
okay,
up.
it's 7-Eleven. What does 7-Eleven mean? It's 1111 515 223 355.
I didn't know you can Google all this stuff. I didn't know you can look this
Yeah,
stuff up.
it's pretty amazing. And there's actually a few shows. And yes, there's a YouTube channel that's dedicated to angel numbers. So they got like every freaking variation of angel number you can think of. Angel number 7126. Angel number 012. Have to repeat,
I guess your phone number is an angel number, I guess.
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
I don't know. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 digits, but then you have 4 digits. I don't think they have a digit that long, but
yeah. What you could do is you can add each set of numbers together.
Yeah.
And then reduce them, I guess.
Yeah, isn't that numerology? Is it numerology?
Make the numerology. Because what happens is when you look up the angel numbers or whatever, it'll tell you basically what each number means.
Yeah.
And whatever their energy is, and then it'll give you the message. And then what they'll do is they'll reduce that number.
Yeah.
So they'll add like 7 plus 7. Let's say it's 7 plus 7, and then so that's 14, and 1 plus 4 is 5, and the energy of the message is 5.
Yeah, you have like a number. Everybody figures. Everybody is a spirit number or something like. It can be 11, 9.
What is yours?
I think it's 11. I forgot.
So it's like a master number.
I think so.
Yeah, and then if you 11, 1 plus 1, 2, and then you could reduce that to 1 if you want. I'm a 7. So a 7 is like your spiritual researcher or whatever.
Your direction or whatever it is. Yeah.
Likes to, research things that are below the surface and, hidden, occult. That's about me.
Okay. All right. All right. We're gonna connect and see.
Okay.
What we got. It might be there's definitely somebody else here.
Awesome.
Connect to Essassani see a home. That might not be very long, but there's others. Here are the messages.
Okay, sounds great.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Oh.
Here we go. Greetings.
Greetings. How are you?
Greetings. This is Nina with Essassani. Much love to
Hi,
you.
Nina.
Yes.
Much love to you.
Our reason for being here, one moment, as we continue to connect. The vibrations of your earth is always frequently changing to the higher vibrations as many become more aware of their spiritual direction. Or you don't even have to call it that, to call it an all-knowing of why you're here, what you're doing here, and become just more known of your identity on this planet, your soul identity is one way of looking at it. Is adding a spiritual label. Of course, you have to label things to understand it, but your spiritual direction here. Everyone comes here with a certain task at hand, a mission, if you want to call it, as you feel it in your next year, and many will become more aware of this and realize there's much more going on in this dimension. Meaning this third density dimension is going to shift out of those that are aware. We'll see it slowly open up, meaning you'll start to feel the energies of a higher dimension come through. Some are already feeling this. We see the numbers more of increasing in your next year. Will help with the vibrations of your planet, as it is very low at this time because of their political atmosphere, because of family atmosphere. They have a tendency to bring darkness into their family unit because that is what many are used to, because of their founding fathers of their family done the same thing, because of depression, whatever it might be. While we do see a cutting through that type of knowledge as for more of a positive, meaning cutting through the norm and allowing something new come through. More of a light to clear out the darkness. And this knowledge of this will come even more clear to those that are prepared for it. Of course, those that are not will stick to their normal route and follow what they need to follow. As the others awaken and grow with a light, more of an understanding, others that choose not to connect with this will continue on in their normal route. But even there, they'll still be peeking in to see how it's going, to criticize it, but to continue in their route of negativity, unfortunately. But that is their connection. That is their purpose. Two, also, sometimes even they have purpose as for pushing those, if you want to call them light workers, into more of a better direction, to test their belief system. It's like any reptilian does in this reality, as they do constantly, testing humans to see if you're truly ready for a higher dimension. So they make things even tougher financially. They have found ways of adding more complexity to one's life, financial or through family, as some become more spiritually aware. Sometimes their life takes a turn for the worse in some degree. As for things they're not have any power to control, and they feel, is this the direction I want to go in or not? And that is part of the spiritual testing. As for you blossom out into more of your understand, these tests are just there to strengthen you. There's much more to it than that. Great expansion of your awareness. Also, what it has to do with for your future incarnations here in your lifetime and in future lifetimes. So these things are there for very much reasons. To walk around with a flower in your hair and having everything work for you isn't always the best test. As many do wish to have that, and we see that constantly, as many wish to have, yes, a big pocket of money and no worries at all. But your worries are there for great reason, because it expands your soul. There's much more to that, but yes, some do get tested a little bit too much, quite understandable. Well, there is a vacation spot eventually after that test. But we do see, one moment, in your next year, Yes, a political uprising, as meaning a political change. As yes, of course, you have a new figure in town, but also a political landscape, meaning what we are seeing. Understand this is a possibility, depending as the politics are going to change drastically in your United States and other parts of your world. Well, some would be in shock, some would be in awe, some would be about time that happened. So basically, we see a cleaning house and many scandals to come. Some already knew that we're around, and it's about time. Also, there's a possibility of your what you call your Illuminati, your shadow governments, becoming more known also to a, yes, some of them will sprout out here and there as to be questionable places where money is going. It's already been happening, but shining light on that will increase. You do have I believe in this year you had one moment, it has to gather this data. There was a data breach of many wealthy that their names were brought about. You're aware of this. That was a leak that was done on purpose to ruin many careers. But this is part of, you can say the shadow elite lost control over this individual that leaked them. Panama, I believe, correct? Panama Papers, yes.
Yes.
And that there is a sign of your shadow elite being known to you. Is another way of putting it. This was not part of the shadow elite, but this was someone that knows them very well, of the shady dealings. Not to go into too much detail. Some saw this and had no choice but to. And this was more, well, those that are involved is not important. That brought it out, but these were not other dark forces. These were other beings. So some might disagree with that, which is fine. See more of this happening in your next year. Much of your political landscapes of your America, though, as your political landscape will shift drastically, as we see. That can always change, but we are seeing at this time as cleaning house, budget cleaning house. I believe some of this has already been mentioned. Yes, waste has been done greatly. That will be a drastic change, and some will not like this new president coming in, but that is, many were waiting, glad that it has happened. Others that are part of the shady dealings will not be too pleasant with it. Your Democratic Party also will go through a shakedown, a shift into more darkness, unfortunately, because of many egos have been bruised. We do see them bruising more in your next year. Many of them will be quite depressed. It'll be a very depressing year for many of them, the hardcore ones, of course. There are many who just don't give a damn. Those are the ones that we cheer for because they just want right for others, and some Democrats don't care. Not to say the Republicans are much better, far from it. But there are hardcore Republicans that only care about themselves. So it's not really a party thing. It's more of an ego situation. Well, we do see yes, the guides with your planet guides. Yes, shakedown that's been needed for some time. Even your Ronald Reagan has never seen anything like this. He attempted something similar, but he is not even be able to accomplish something like this. Now, what would happen to your political landscape after this? We do not see, as for safety for your prep, we do see that being fine. Some of be questionable. Well, we do see that, understand we bring up politics, but it does affect everyone's life, even if you don't want to hear about it, it still affects everyone's life. Not to say everything's going to be roses and peaches, but still, at least the corruption, some of it, not all of it, will be removed. Of course, there'll be others to move in. Of course, that is just how your planet works. So it's like one gang leaves, another one arrives. So you have your Crips and your Bloods, and they all have their own agendas. Same thing. But we do see a grand change. As for this helping humanity, in some regard, at least the corruption will be cleared out. The waste will be cleared out. But as for, one moment. We do see around your next December year as another shift. Now, as for your alien connections, That is still up in the air. It's up for free will, but we don't see anything as for disclosure in this coming year 2017. It's still a possibility, but there's much to do. Aliens are not exactly on the top of that register as for being known. Now, it's a possibility that will shift depending on who is in charge of that type of information. As for allowing it to become more public, that is up in the air, but the likelihood is becoming more likely. We do see more of a 2018 with that energy, but right now, it is hard to say. 2018 seems to be more of a year of disclosure, at least from your government. Now, whistleblowers is another story in your next year. Now, this is still up in the air. As for your whistleblowers, as for your alien or your shadow government, not necessarily alien, is a high probability because some are going to get fed up. And your Snowden is kind of like a whistleblower, but there is much there that has been, that's like a sugar-coated type of whistleblower. With the other whistleblowers, usually lose their lives. I believe you're aware of this. Those are one with hardcore information, where most will not believe because it's kind of outrageous and think, why would your government do a thing like that? Those are the ones that usually are tapped out. Their Snowden is a sugar-coated version of it. It's also one way, it's like a nice version of letting your humans know what's going on, but also the whistleblower gets to keep his life. And of course, he could have done much more where he will no longer be around, but that wasn't the case. He's well protected at this time. But he's not all that important either. It was just there to let Americans know or your world know what is going on. But there was not, that is like a youngster, you can say, that was like a whistleblower, yes, but not a hardcore one. The hardcore ones talk about your black projects, your aliens, and go on, and that is the ones that conveniently vanish. As you said, your Max Spears, yes, and there are, of course, others that are not known because they didn't have a chance to be known. But we do see many of them, depending on their free will, what they feel as they become fed up and become more known in your next year. It would be like they see a new, just like your Snowden saw a new administration and saw a change and did something on his own. Same here. A new administration, and also meaning some of these are going to come out and feel like they're being protected. And that's a high possibility of these whistleblowers being protected. Possibility, hard to say at this time. Because all this revolves around free will. But what we're talking about is the more major black projects that your humanity, for the most part, is in disbelief it even exists. So that is what we are allowed to mention this, because this has been already in the vibrations of your earth for some time. Understand it's still what we are saying is very vague, but enough. Even if those even see this transmission might be able to feel more comfortable, but it's up to them, of course. One moment. Yes, shifting gears. One moment. Would you see your Hollywood shifting gears to more of a China perspective as China becomes more involved because they have the money they can control, but nothing to worry about. Your planet's already been under propaganda control for some time. Now you're just getting it from a more Asian perspective. And sometimes more information goes out into your public that was not usually allowed at that time. So there's nothing too different. You'll just receive more information about your planet in cryptic ways from your Asian perspective. Understand your United States and your Asia are part of, yes, an Illuminati, but a different version of it. So there are always clashing heads. And so another version will come in and to take over to some degree and give your humanity a message. Of course, humanity might see, right, just pass right by it, but not always. So that is a grand change in your Hollywood. One moment, change shifts again. One moment. Unfortunately, we do see in your military, your U.S. military, as there be skirmishes that will get a little bit out of hand in your next year, possibly. As for affecting the United States, hard to say at this time, but around your global wars, unfortunately, some of them will get worse. Some skirmishes that not needed to happen, but will. And some of this energy has to do with Russia and your United States also. Not to say that we'll go to war with each other, but they will have some scuffles going on. As for your Syria, at this time we cannot comment on that. One moment. Is there any questions while we are here?
Oh, that sounds like a lot of information. A lot of it sounds pretty promising, especially about the new administration cleaning house. I think that'll be taken by many positively, even those who were, I guess, rooting for the Democratic president, which I personally believe she would have, or candidate would have been business as usual.
Yes.
It's nice to, get the message or impression that, there are brighter days ahead, at least, that are in favor of the average Joe.
Yes, your Democratic Party right now is going, yes, they're having their moment of darkness, as you can tell. And that darkness seems will go on for the next 4 years, possibly will clean up in your 4-year term as it goes into more of a re-election mode. So that's unlikely that they will have a positive turnout, as because they will still be business as usual, because they at this time have an identity crisis. They're part of your elites that have much wealth and have difficulties connecting to your humanity, those without wealth. That's another issue they are having at this time. But also your elites are working with giving one another side a chance, but they're not going to make it easy for your administration, of course.
That's interesting. I think it's pretty cool that this will be happening, because a lot of people get the impression that the Democrats are the good guys and the Republicans are the bad guys, and they're just kind of showing everybody that they're not any one's not any better
Right.
than the other.
Yes. Right. Yes, your humanity at this time is still figuring out what humanity is. As for, is that right, this time at a divide, sometimes a racial divide, sometimes a political divide. It is still divided. For you and your humanity to come together, it must be convinced that you all can get along with each other at this time. It's having a hard time to see it that way, as there's much fear and anger in your society, and ugly anger, as you can tell, to keeping humanity separated. It will take some time for it to heal that anger, because it will take generations to heal this. For your humanity to come together, for your aliens to arrive, for many things. But we know this, it would be a hard awakening. It would be a rough one, because many are just not hard-headed for a good reason. Not to say there's anything wrong with not being ready for any of this. There's nothing wrong with that, because that is part of your Earth's process. You're reincarnated in this world for a reason, to be part of its process. An alien is not always added to that process. But it is time for the alien awakening to begin, and it has been beginning for some time. As for ships landing, it is unlikely until your humanity becomes more pleasant with each other. We do see bits and pieces here and there that are prosperous or positive, whatever word you use for that.
Yeah, I'm personally going through an experience, or I have been for quite some time. I guess the last, I want to say 8 months, where I've been seeing these images show up in my camera as I'm taking a picture, and there's a lot of other people who are seeing these things. So would you say that's kind of like our own personal self-disclosure, or just maybe those entities are presenting themselves to you because they feel like you're kind of at a level where you would welcome these energies?
Understand, this is around everyone at this time. It's just they're unaware of it. When they see these spots in their images, most don't think anything of it. But yes, everyone has an alien somewhere around them, of course. Angels, of course. Spirits, of course. But definitely an alien presence is somewhere along those lines. And if you're humanity, yes, well, at this time they are still having difficulties connecting to their own guides because of their upbringing, their belief system, disconnected from all of that. They never entered into their mind that those things exist. Maybe angels, but that was about it. Your guides are a mystery still for most, but some do have an idea that it does exist. As your alien information, understand your aliens are here as because they trained well, and so warning of how to awaken humanity in a way that is kind, that is easy, a gradual shift into more of a higher dimension. And the more that's connecting, the better. Such as you have your sports stadiums of people. If they become more connected with each other, because there's so much divine. And anger also. Also, ego is keeping many apart. So much of that will be discontinued. More of an openness with each other. You'd be surprised what you will see in that stadium, especially what's standing around you in a higher dimension. Your grays, your alien friends are more happy to make an appearance, but your world has to be ready for it, welcoming it. It is still alien to your aliens. It is still unready. But we do see this time coming. As for in your lifetime's another story. It's hard to say at this time.
I was going to say that if aliens do make an appearance at a sports stadium, that people would probably think it was just kind of like a little visual trick that they did for fun.
If it was fake or someone have a great amount of fear. Those that have a great amount of fear are already part of what you call a matrix, and unready, which is fine. You connect to any type of alien being. This is why you do not have a massive society. You can. Your skies can light up greatly if your humanity was ready for it. No matter what your government says, because they'll be more welcoming to it also. If your humanity was welcome to it. Your humanity still runs your government no matter what. As I made this political. But it all depends on the consciousness of your humanity, aware and more than happy to have a visitation. Then you will have your visitation. But yes, your people are not ready for it. It is not entering into their consciousness very well at this time. Not when you are in a mental zoo, if you want to call it
that. So my question to you is, do you see any notable changes? And you already mentioned that when it comes to like people's awakening process. And when I ask that, is there like going to be something tangible people can look forward to, like, you know, something, fairies popping up around them, or them just becoming more intuitive or telepathic, or, you know, obviously this will happen to people who care about being connected a little bit more, but do you think like people who are just not really connected are gonna get like some kind of surprise?
Some might get a jolt, yes, a change, and it depends on their soul contract. They can change it, and some will, because they feel like they have run their course in this life, meaning it does not serve them anymore as it used to. Yes, I have a job, I go to the movies, I do this and that, but I feel unfulfilled. So much of that is when the feeling comes in as your spiritual awakening. That is one way how it works. And also some just ask for it in their timeline where it just pops in out of nowhere. But some do feel like they just, is this all there is in this incarnation? It's like hardly that at all. And then they start to have some have health issues, some have different ways of awakening processes. As they start to hear more, see more fairies coming through. Some that are very connected to your Agartha will more likely have your fairy connections. Those that have more of the alien connections will have your more alien connections. Those that have more of your angelic lifetimes will have more of an angelic energy. So it all depends. And some that have many spirit guide lifetimes that are here at this time will see here more of their spirit guides. Many of your American Indians have been spirit guides before they entered into this incarnation. This is why they can connect to them also. Yes, the DNA is helping very much, but also it has a lot to do with their previous incarnation as someone else's guide. So that helps very much also because the understanding is there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Can you please validate whether or not Native Americans are extraterrestrials? For some reason that's come up. And for me, I'm like, well, aren't we all
yes,
like
you all
extraterrestrials?
Are.
Like,
yes.
I single out, you know,
their DNA. Well,
Native Americans.
Yes, their DNA has been shifted differently than others. As Italians or different other humans that have been shifted differently. Understand, the Native Americans have had more of this spirituality in their culture for much longer than others. So it's much easier for them to connect to it because of a cultural situation. Understand, if you're from a family with no culture of spiritual connections, it's going to be difficult to connect because that vibration goes through the birthing process. Actually, all this goes into the reincarnation throughout your family. So that vibration of awareness goes into your DNA. Some might disagree with that, but with your Native Americans, they're very connected to spirit, and so are others. So with those families, you can start it now, be more aware. If you have children, most likely they'll become aware also. Possibly. It all depends. Some close down for good reason. It depends if it's awake. If this is a family that is peaceful and friendly, then the children will be aware to their guides. If the family is hostile and still much darkness is there, but spiritually aware, possibly a child will stay shut down. It's hard to say. It's different scenarios for everyone. And some will eventually just learn it later in life. So it's hard to say. It's different for everyone.
So people with, let's say, a DNA that is closed off to a major degree from spirituality, they have a lot to fight through.
Yes, it is like playing the piano at an old age, and very much like that. It takes time to recirculate your energy. Understand your energies is part of your DNA also. So if you get it moving, turn it around, spin it around, and you have offspring, there's a possibility of them being more aware than you are. But still, they can teach you, you can teach each other. It's all a possibility. It all depends on what kind of energy you are putting out, what kind of positive energies you are bringing about. Your Native Americans are very they're technically in the spirit world. How many generations of people are in that? Not many. This is why you have the world you have today. That is all. It's part of their culture.
That's very interesting.
Because you can change your DNA. You can change it anytime you wish. For future generations, of course.
And what is the best way? Is it just as you described, just kind of just making a choice and just following that course?
Yes. It is just having this openness, and also with offspring, you're open with them also. Because understand they don't not shut down their abilities, they keep it open. So that's what your Native Americans, they open up to it, they just left the spirit world, entered into this 3D world. But then you have family that is very connected to spirit. And so they have no problem in staying open without shutting down. So there's much more, this is much there to it. Some are a little bit open than others, of course. But that is one way. If it comes into a positive environment, it will stay in a positive environment. Not that the Native Americans were always positive, but they did have a spiritual connection, as many do. But it's different for everyone, of course.
That's very interesting. So obviously there's a lot to learn. And when you say Native Americans, are you just talking about those of the North American continents, or would that be like your Mayans and your
Mayans also.
Aztecs and your
Yes.
Incans and
Those
all of
are, yes, those are.
Amazonians, cultures, things like that.
Yes, I use the Native Americans as an example, but yes, those others are, yes, distant and tuned. Yes.
They qualify as well.
Exactly. Do they have their door open to full awareness, then they are added to that. Yes. That's what I'm speaking of. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
They don't have fear as many as they see this channeling and other types of healings. They feel others. You are aware that see fear. Oh, they're channeling this and that and whatever it might be, and that keeps you away from your spiritual direction. So, but you're born into a spiritual family. You have no fears. So you have different kinds, but still more of an understanding than fear.
That's really interesting. I grew up in a family that, well, my immediate was not particularly religious, but you know, we did have like overtones of like the fear-based, I guess, religion. You know,
Yes.
if you talk to channelers or seers or mediums, you know, that's evil, that's the devil, and you know, those kinds of things. Fortune tellers, stay away from them. You know, basically anything that gets you away from yourself. You know, and then they add fear to that. You know, and it's funny that stuck with me, even though I wasn't particularly religious. You know, it's interesting how powerful you know, these religious institutions are, you know, and just impressing our mind.
Yes, as one way of looking at it, humanity takes the fun out of life.
Oh yes, it's like you're taught all the things that you shouldn't. You're taught to not do all the things that you should do.
Yes, welcome to Earth. You can't do anything. Have a nice life.
Have a nice life. Maybe the next life will be better.
Yes.
That's if it exists.
All these rules and do what we say, and as long as you follow these guidelines and think the way we do, you'll be just fine. You might be mentally challenged, but that is part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and no wonder there's people who decide to become atheists because it's just like, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible.
Yes, they've had enough. Yes.
But then there's the ones who are atheists because they not because they're not spiritualists, just because they want nothing to do with religion anymore. But then the ones that are atheists, that just kind of sound sad. So I'm just gonna go and die and be the dirt, and that's it. That doesn't sound promising either.
You can do that if you want. You want to be dirt, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's stopping you. Dirt can be a multi-dimensional being also. So some do choose that, and not necessarily all atheists go in that direction. They do see a different light when they cross over. They see a version of the other side they want to see. They have different versions of everything, which is nothing wrong with that. That's more peaceful than your religious people. You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And some do go into a reincarnation cycle, and they come right back instantly. That's really that. There's that also.
Oh, that's interesting. And what kind of reincarnation cycle would be particular for them?
Some of it, not always, is part of an archon control. Not always. Some go into a disbelief of God and want to continue incarnations to tell others, to preach to others God does not exist. So they go into those reincarnations, continue that atheism on and on and on, no matter what. But some do have a different way. Some go into an archon incarnation where they become a religious person instead to see it from a different perspective. Now they're atheists, now they're a religious person. So they have different ways of going about it. Not always a archon connection, but sometimes it is.
That's very interesting. Sometimes I feel like there's a big energy that is just pushing so much for people not to believe in God or anything spiritual.
Oh, yes. Those are the ones that are ruling your world, yes. Negative version, that's here. You're Illuminati. They want to make sure that people don't believe in God, don't believe in anything. Another way for them to have control, you have to believe in something, and there will be that belief system. It is be materialism or something. They want you to believe in them. Of course, they're hiding behind materialism or riches as for monetary alignment and how to think. So either way, they do have a control. They find a way of being your master. And they like being the master. Even if their time is coming to an end, they still want to relish the good times on your humanity.
How long do you think before their time is officially at the end? I always end up watching the Benjamin Fulford report, and then there's all these updates about how the Bilderbergs, or not the Bilderbergs, but the Rothschilds are going down or getting sued in France and things like that. But, you know.
It's a possibility of 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility.
Yes. 500 years.
Yes, 500 years. I understand they might change their focus and become more positive. The possibility through different generations. If they want to stay in existence, I understand it's a possibility. It's hard to say at this time because it's so far in your future, but it is a timeline that does exist as for their departure completely.
And a lot of people are still convinced that they don't exist. A lot of people, just think that every day is business as usual, and things are the way they are because that's the way it is.
And that's how they remain in power.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's another entity here if you want to speak to them.
Okay, that's fine, Neiman. Thank you for stopping by and talking to us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, maybe I'll be talking to you individually in 2017, huh?
Possibly.
That would be nice.
Visit our ships. We are here.
Yeah, I would love that.
Not here to give out autographs or anything or celebrity sightings.
We'll be looking forward to all of that when you're ready.
Some of us are around Hollywood Boulevard, if you're wondering, where we are roaming around. That's one of the places. And shaman areas also.
Pretty sure you think it's very entertaining over there.
Yes, it is.
Maybe one day you'll have your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You never know. That's exactly our priority.
Okay, just focus on that timeline, just so it could be an option.
What is bizarre to us, at least in my collective, when we see venues that change their faces greatly with surgeries to continue to make themselves look like someone else. But
yeah, that's strange. And then they end up looking worse.
Yes.
Look at Kim Kardashian. She was fine to begin with, and now she looks like her mom. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, she's trying to not to look like, well, yeah, she has a lot of self-image issues, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Inner and outer. Inner is a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place she does not like to go very often. And it does hurt her very much when she thinks about it. So changing her outer look, that may make her feel better, but it did the opposite. Did not make her feel any better.
And she just continues to want to do more and more, and then it just gets worse. So.
Yes, that entire family, at least mostly actually with her, she actually has more darkness more than her mother. Her mother has a toned down version of it. The daughter has, because she has all this narcissism type of attention around her of how to be perfect. And there's a lot of darkness there.
That whole family is kind of odd. It's kind of like they're Illuminati kind of puppets and stuff like that.
Yes, a wannabe version, yes.
Wannabe version.
The public version.
I don't know what they're doing with their kids. Like one of them looks like a carbon copy of Kim Kardashian, like by surgery, and then they all look like they're like kind of clones. Pimping out, clones, and kind of like pimping out their kids and stuff because they're like very young and dating these older men and just like sexualizing them. It's very sad.
Propaganda. It is, unfortunately, well, I want to say unfortunately as part of your energy of your world as propaganda for the youth.
Yeah, to change your change the morals, kind of like make people even more impressionable than they are to what they're putting out.
Yes. There's another woman. Yes, there's another one to come in to go into a little bit more of that. Blessings to you.
Okay. Thank you, Neiman.
Communications. Yes. Much love.
Thank you. Much love to you.
Greetings.
Greetings.
This is Agent N with the MIB. Much happy holidays, humans.
Welcome, Agent N. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure, humans, to connect to materialistic humanity and its narcissistic ways. Pardon our dust, as we do not have that. Well, I'm not sure if we're narcissistic and all. No, we're not. Well, we are digital, if that makes sense.
You're narcissistic in the digital
digital
fashion.
Narcissism. We do not exist, as you can tell. You're Kim Kardashian. Interesting subject matter. Yes, Illuminati mind control, as you can tell.
Yes.
Much more than that is, yes, to Baker Act your young ones in a publicity stunt way of Baker acting, meaning of your childish ways to make you into more of a pimped out female, or to give you this is what you're supposed to look like. That kind of narcissism, or whatever one. I'm trying to make it PG here. It is not something. That is a black project right there in your face. Humans, it is done in sophistication mode. Of course, not going to say, but they do wear black, white often. And they are surgically designed, are they? They're like designer babies, all of them.
All of them.
Even the fat one, I think, if he's still fat. It's still part of a show for humanity to tell you this is how it is to be successful, to look like this, to humanity. You understand, when they come into this world, usually, if brought up wrong, as most are, as you can see, judging by their driving abilities, brought up wrong, where they don't have a damn identity to themselves at all. At least if they had a spiritual identity, it would at least keep them out of trouble for the most part. And realize there's someone always watching you also. And some do have a sense of that. But when you have no identity, it is easy to stamp an identity on one by using propaganda such as your cartoon shows, your Kim Kardashians, whatever it might be. So your children are always under attack, as you can tell. And it is sad, but many humans don't care from what we gather. Some do, but most don't. They don't know what the hell to do with their kids. They just want to party all night and let someone else raise their kid. I believe you're aware of that type of energy. Not everyone at first.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Their whole image and almost all of the I guess magazines I've seen them in, a lot of their clothes say Illuminati all over them, like dresses with imprints of the Baphomet, the black and white checkerboard floor, all of the 13 staircases, like everything is 666 on the T-shirt.
A lot of this
so obvious.
Some of this is actually like an Egyptian way of Egyptian propaganda, because in Egypt they wore these many classic gowns to show everyone this is how you're supposed to look, this is how you're supposed to be. And it went into Rome slightly, but more of your feminine was more powerful during your Egyptian time. So it's another way of spellbinding the mind to have you under control. Not all of this is in history, but it's there. History kind of did away with a lot of that shit. But that's been going on forever. Your Egyptian time period, ancient Egypt, that is where a lot of that was implemented in the beginning. And in some ways, your Kardashian, yes, we're on a Kardashian kick, aren't we? Is part of that type of energy there. They look Egyptian, don't they? Is still that type of...
Or at least if they don't already, they make themselves look like it.
Exactly. It is a way of voodoo on the masses, of ugly, rich, ugliness of wealth is hollow and is... It does not look very pretty there, does it? Because it's not. It is
it's just like perversions of the mind, and just like perverting, not perverting, but just kind of a lot of the two younger girls look way older, beyond their age, and they're doing things and living in a way that is beyond their years. And people like watch this, and if they don't know better, because a lot of people are still following celebrities still in 2016, and they look up to these people, and they have absolutely like no like artistic credibility. They're just there because they're there, kind of like the Kardashians, you know, not the Kardashians, sorry, the Hiltons and things like that. Except the Hiltons, I can't really say too much about them either.
Yes, there's you can call it Illuminati magic. It's done in all those families. Those are the popular. What is popular within your masses? And trust me, if there's your everyday Joe was made popular, they would find a way to get into their mind and have them under their control. Some of your celebrities don't go for that. They stay out of the limelight, so they'll go into they don't go into that type of mind control. But those that wish for the limelight, if they are chosen, will become similar to your Kardashian caravan. But much of that has been others have tried and failed. Mm-hmm. So that's your it girl, your it people, your it family for this time, as they're in some ways prosecuted in front of everyone also.
Yeah. It's very interesting now that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, including myself, have noticed that a lot of the men who come into contact with the Kardashian women always suffer some kind of mental breakdown, or, you know, I know with
that's right.
Caitlyn, supposedly that was going to happen at some point, but, you know, it's something that occurs. Whether it be Rob Kardashian, Lamar Odom, Kanye West had a breakdown, and, you know, who knows who's next. Like almost everybody who's come in contact with them romantically, something happens to them.
Yes, the mentality. Well, your Jenner, he was already on that direction. He went that willingly. So that is not, you'd be surprised. He is like the less likely to be under their control. He went through all that willingly. That is part of his energy. He's already mentioned it. It is just part of his feminine side that he wishes to explore. Not to say they push him towards it. He was going to do it anyway with them or without them. As for the others having breakdowns, they can't handle the narcissism, the negativity within these families, and they burst into flames. They can't take it anymore. Because what they are doing is unnatural. The feminine can handle it because it is already seduced by the dark side, you could say. It is it's already made its oath, it's already signed its name in blood, and can handle it much better. And these males cannot handle it. They can only so far they can go. Your Kanye West he was already mentally not there, and he just had a mental breakdown. He couldn't take it anymore. And he had failure after failure, because he is a more fourth dimensional thinking pattern than others realize. So he did not understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very interesting that he would break down because, you know, you think that he was an insider too. But I understand that he did a lot to get Kim the clout that she does, as far as like in the fashion industry, where a lot of the fashion folks wouldn't look at her twice, and now she's an icon. And I don't know why every time I look at her, she's dressed like, she's dressed like scantily clad, and she's not looking very stylish. But anyways, I understand he got her in that circle, and so I just figured that he was of, that dark rootedness as well.
There's only so much he can handle, and he hit his.
Especially since he's really narcissist.
Yes, he can only handle so much of himself, and he had a nervous breakdown because not all his mind was never totally working on 100% anyway. It was already out there, and this will give him a time. He's going to be in a strange shape. He's not going to be very comfortable with himself for some time. He's not going to be able to control things like he used to, and it's going to cause much of the damage to his ego. So he's going to go. His ego has been desperately beaten by all of this, but sometimes for the better. As more of the simple life of being a rich millionaire and a quiet one would probably be the best for him. But it depends on him. But all of his artistic flavor came out of that insanity he calls a mind. So it has its ups and its downs. And the stress from that family was a little bit too much for him to handle. A lot happened behind the scenes that would never be known. And there's no reason for it to be known as any other part of his family.
But I imagine, just based upon what we know to be true about the Illuminati, yes, and just how people just get sucked into the dark and just sign contracts, that it was just going to be something that was bound to happen at some point or another, just like the others.
Yes, if you want to know what MK Ultra and all that works, you just look at your Kardashian families or any kind of other rich family. Right now, they are more of your kings and queen of this America in some regard. Your England doesn't much
That's
better.
Bad.
So they've been at it for a lot longer, but they've had their moments also, where they couldn't handle it either, and that's deep in your history.
And it's very interesting.
Look at your Henry VIII. He was a real popular one. How many would like to follow in his footsteps? Probably many.
I would not like to be his wife because I think he killed a lot of them.
A lot of them like to do the same thing in this reality. Up to any rich male in this, well, not all, but certain ones are just like that. Trying to be more civil these days, they find other ways to commit those type of crimes. But anyway, the reason why we are here is not to talk about the Kardashians of make us sick.
Don't you hate how they just gotta suck you in? I don't like watching them, but sometimes I'll see a news paper clipping on them or something on Instagram, and I'm just flipping through their pictures before I realize what the hell I'm doing. What am I doing? I don't pay people.
Your Illuminati control over your society. If you want to know what they do behind the scenes, there it is in your face. And your celebrities, as for your singers, your actors, mostly your musicians is Illuminati controlled. Put on these magazines to exploit them, and sometimes they get magazine pictures of themselves they don't want out in the public, is because a lot of that has been paid off. It's been done deliberately, not by the singer, but by someone they know or some kind of manager, whoever it might be that wants publicity. But as I was saying, which is a very interesting topic for our connection here, we do see our next year as a stumbling point for many. Connected to your aliens, unlikely. Your humans are not ready for it. They have other things to do, narcissism to handle. They have their narcissism to.
We have to keep up with the Kardashians.
Yes, or whatever it might be. Their own narcissism issues that they gotta, grow out of eventually. So we don't see your aliens touching down anytime as many. We do see more sightings. Unfortunately for us, they're going to be. We do see the Arcturians more of becoming more known in your skies. No, they've been quiet recently. The Yell has been. We can give you. Yell has been told not to make themselves. They've been doing that a lot recently as for sightings, and we've been on their ass recently. so they cannot be seen.
Why is that versus the Arcturians?
Because the yellow kind of cross the line sometimes. The Arcturians don't do that so much. They go into space where mostly no one's going to notice them. The yellow is a different story. They go into populated areas, as you can tell in your 1990s. Which that was allowed to happen. That was a signed agreement with your government. That was okay to happen. Like, go ahead, do it. No one's going to give a shit. And sure enough, mostly didn't. Some did. Most didn't. But it does give, some deals are being made where you're allowed to see some things. Yale has been making themselves a little bit too known. Other ones have been keeping pretty good without naming names. The Yale has been a pain in our ass recently. Just to let you know, they want to awaken humanity and be loving and nice with them, and which is fine, but your humanity is all fucked up. How can that happen? Pardon my French, but it's still not ready. It's still in disbelief of all this existing. It's still a disbelief that you are aliens and all of you are. You've just forgotten it and will be remembered in your time, mostly in your lifetime, depending on how long you want to live, as many have become more aware. Next 10 years is going to be a doozy for many of your humans. Yes, that is true. Now we're allowed, we see things, we see different timelines. Next 10 years, you do see more of your humans becoming more aware of their alien DNA connections as it becomes more part of your culture. We can say that. It's been said on and off here through this one. Your government's all screwed up right now, and it's going to be more screwed up. Your desert areas in your America, at least in the United States, are under some kind of quarantine at this time because of what is the political shift, meaning they don't want any whistleblowers to go out. They know many people that are involved in these projects want to tell people what's going on. So now that it's getting harder for them to actually have a life, not to go into too much detail, but they don't want another Snowden or one that's far worse. But they know that many have their itchy trigger fingers, and so they put a lockdown under much of your black projects, at least on the people. They're keeping an eye on them, but they do know that one eventual or two might slip through. And some might be allowed to. But right now, they're not allowing it. Some are allowed to whistle blow. Of course, if they say too much, then they're gone. So some are allowed to because they know humanity is not ready, but to test the waters to see if they are ready. So deals are made to allow them to leave. Your Snowden was kind of like that. Notice how he's conveniently still alive. For reasons, because he's not. That was kind of like a bunch of bullshit in the long run, but there was a lot.
Yeah, I just wonder about him. A lot of people think he related somehow to Mark Zuckerberg, and somehow, or that he's an actor. Some say that he was, I guess, seen in some kind of a false flag situation, or they call him a limited hangout or something like that. Just something like that. That's closer to what it is. Just kind of to make it seem like something's going on, and he's protected, but it's mostly because it's an insider thing.
What was happening is more was in those emails that he leaked. It was more fragile than this leak of these different NSA. Because much more was in those emails that they did not want to be known, such as your aliens being known. We didn't want that shit out there, and it's out there. But also you have it was, frosting on a cake. It was not, he's not that, well, moment. What can I tell you? He is the real deal. He is from the NSA. As for him being Zuckerberg's brother, I'm not aware of that. There's a possibility.
He keeps reinventing his roles while he was there. Sometimes he said he's a computer infrastructure guy, and then he says he's an op. He just kind of, confuses a lot with what he is. I think that depending on who he interviews, he's got a new title.
Well, in his mind, he is not thinking straight coherently either.
Mm-hmm.
He is under a lot of stress because there are people that do want to remove him from his space.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like a whistleblower celebrity, but the real ones are the ones that don't last very long or mostly unknown. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the ones that your government is truly worried about. This one is just to shine light on things he disagreed with, yes. And he was helped out in this situation very much by a positive elite energy. That's why he's still alive. But there's
Yeah.
still much there that is, trust me, there's far others in the know that know far more than he does that came close to becoming with the information out to your public, but became quickly muted. So others have tried to mimic his ways. And your black projects, where they have their own NSA, that's a lot more powerful than the one that you see. It's into everything. So if you want to try to hide things, go right ahead. There is pretty much no privacy, but trust me, there's not many peering at you because most of them don't care. But when you start crossing the line with them, then they start caring, then they go through all your stuff. So if you're a good human, don't worry about it.
It's very interesting. So what do you think they think about this transmission? Are they watching?
Oh, yeah, they're pissed. They don't us allowed to be connecting. They don't like us. We're allowed to talk to the enemy, humans. It's fine. It's like, sure, let's see how that goes. See how many humans take to that. And most of them say, oh, it's a bunch of rubbish. So it's like, that's good because that just tells you humans aren't really worth a shit. So that's fine. So we're allowed to come through and talk our smack about humans and make fun of them. Sometimes we're worse than reptilians, but we are reptilian controlled, so we do have some of their personality embedded in our DNA. If you connect to us, MIB energies have gotten better at keeping ourselves unseen. There is some video on your internet, which is quite humorous, but it is us. Yes. But I understand we found ways of keeping ourselves more undetected. But we're very much part of your cultures. We do not walk around in black sometimes. Sometimes we have other types of clothing. So we're not noticed. It's like you're a policeman that does this undercover cop. We do the same things, but we still have the same operations. So understand that. So we are living among you all. You just don't know
Oh, that's very interesting.
it. Yes.
What? Now that you mentioned the undercover cops, how a lot of police cars are starting to look like normal cars. I mean, they're still police cars. If you look at them close enough, they're not just a Dodge Charger. So how would we distinguish you if we just wanted to try?
Well, you can try all you want. You can go by your sixth sense. Some of us drive in a white car, not a black one. Usually do wear glasses, but no hat. And usually have clothing. So good luck on deciphering us. To give you more detail, some of us like to walk around in Hawaiian clothing. Just because we like that kind of stuff. But that doesn't really give you much to work with now, does it? In most likely.
No.
This is one of our disguises that some of us use. There are women within it's not just MIB, it's MIB women. Also, if you're wondering, there's also type of cyber AI type of men in black with us also. Obviously, we're all alien. For the most part, some of us do have your DNA, but also there are Syrians, and we are under reptilian control, as some of you might, and if you're not aware, we are, and Palladian control also, but mostly reptilian. We do talk to your Illuminati. We talk to their spokespeople, but mostly it's reptilian, but we are given our orders every day, telepathically, how it works, and we are under control. We are under surveillance. Most of us don't need sleep. We hang out. We have our women if you want them. We get deliveries, stuff like that, but not human women. You're just going to deal with all that. We have our own. We're our own delivery. we can't deal with disease and stuff like that. Most don't go in that direction. Most of what we do is controlled. So if we have if a fetish is whatever it is, it's usually known by everyone. At least those of our upper management know. It's not everyone individually, because it really doesn't matter. We don't care. So we do have our own privacy, if you're wondering.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad humans need to know.
The other side of the Men in Black.
Yes, we have.
I really appreciate you sharing all of that.
District. We have
it's not the red light; it's the black light district.
The black light district. Yes. Well, we have to say that we do. There are female men in black, female women that are involved that are promiscuous in a way of trying to get information out of certain individuals that might see a sighting or that we have to complete a mission. So they're very valuable to our people, and some might have experienced their experiences but might not remember, because we do have a mind wiping control. We do have something around those lines. Yes. Is it always effective? No. Sometimes it is. It depends on the vibration of the person. If we have our equipment working right, then it's sometimes a pain in the ass. But we have been around for some time, 300 years on our planet, in different forms, of course. Actually, it's been a lot longer, but mostly 300 years. So we've been around for some time.
Were you created in England?
Somewhere. We are created everywhere.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Somewhat, yes. Mostly underground. Underwater facilities. Pacific Ocean, deep underwater. For good reason. One of our bases are underwater. Washington, D.C. is one of our hangouts. Good luck on finding us there, but if you can probably pick up on our vibrations pretty easily, depending on if you're aware or not. I know we don't do tours.
No White House tours.
No, but some of your Secret Service agents are part of our collective that are not aware of it.
Oh, that's very interesting.
They're
probably the ones that I remember a long time ago when I was in the military. They showed up at our base, and the President Obama's wife was there. The First Lady was there, and they tricked us into helping them with guarding the entrance to the building. And the exchange was we'd get to say hello to the First Lady, and that never happened. That's probably was that you guys?
It's part of our tactics, yes. Is it one of us? We can take credit for it.
Like, here, do my work. I'll let you see the First Lady. I'm like, hey, what about the First Lady? Oops, my bad. You're dumb.
Yes.
She does what she wants.
Yeah, understand they're protected by the MIB also. That's why they're still breathing. Because there's much more. There is a secret force also that's not seen, called a military force that is unseen by public. It has no real name. Call it whatever you want, like a shadow military that watches over them. And they are not always fully aware of it.
No, that's interesting.
Some of them are in the higher dimensions. Some are not. Most are not aware of the alien presence. Some, depends on who it is. President Obama knows that of our existence, and sometimes he's terrified of what he knows. There's a fear within him because he knows if he talks about too much, asks for too much, he's not sure what's going to happen to him, so he asks no questions. That's the reason why he doesn't go into aliens, is because sometimes you ask too much. He's like, why are you asking that? Or they allow him to, and then they make him feel very uncomfortable if he does something like that. So usually it's an off topic. As for this, president's coming in, possibly. He doesn't seem to care what people say or do to him. So it's hard to say. It's most likely there seem to be, what he is doing is backroom deals. meaning he is working with, instead of just asking about the aliens, he's making deals. So it's a possibility to make a deal, and then your aliens will become more known. It's hard to say.
Why do you think it's important for him to discuss disclosure or be the president to basically outs the fact that there's aliens for the ones who haven't figured that out yet versus other presidents?
He wants to know himself, and he has enough, what do you call it, balls to do it. He has a convincing way where he can make it work for everyone, not just his curious self. So he's more of a people person in that regard, what he would like to know. But it's hard to say Hillary Clinton would say stuff and not do anything. Now, for him, we do see him making progress with it, but as for the deal being made, it's hard to say at this time. But anyone that can do it, it will be him, but we can't say officially because it has not happened yet. Actually, 1 moment. It's a high possibility of it. It's hard to say at this time.
That's
not every alien is aware of every conversation he's had. So I have to say we are either, but it's still on the table somewhere.
Well, it's good not to know everything. You just add a little mystery, you know, and maybe focus on that positive timeline as well.
Well, you mentioned focus on being less of a narcissist and be more of a family-go-lucky. Yes, there is family, but they bring a lot of drama, become more peaceful with each other. So maybe a little bit less materialistic might do some good to some. And less fear. There's a lot of fear in many's eyes at this time. Because understand you're under a military control system right now called your monetary system.
Yes. Apparently that's been going on, that was like the fake government's been going on for quite some time.
Yes.
Like the people who wrote it was after the people who wrote the Constitution. Have they been around since President Lincoln was assassinated?
Oh, yes. They were here way before that. Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
They wanted to make they wanted to, your Federal Reserve, yes, was a trick, and a trick done very well, and there's much, whatever his name was, that the president that allowed it to happen.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or that happened before him?
No.
Monroe.
I can't remember. I can't connect to it. But either way, the guy with the glasses, whatever his name is, they all have glasses. The skinny guy. I can't.
Truman.
No.
That was after.
It doesn't matter. What is going on at this time is that understand you're already under a prison system already because your money system even exists on your planet. That's a military coup on your humanity alone. That is a worldwide control system. And so having your America under a Federal Reserve system is another way of brainwashing humanity to make it think it needs money to survive and to forget of its natural ways of connecting to the earth, as many were farmers, and now there are less farmers, less on the land, more in the cities. There's another way of bankrolling the world also to bring many into more of a city population, to put the glamour around city. Oh, you need city, you need to be in concrete jungle. Who cares about nature?
You need convenience and stuff like that. And making the farm life,
rich. Yes.
Successful,
yes.
Yeah, and making the farm life look like it's the weird thing.
Yes. And actually that's the way of connecting with nature, is to be with nature and to grow your own food and to be more independent. And the last thing they want is more independent people. So it's a military control over this United States and the world, because the United States dollar is everywhere. It does have it's a bully in some ways. But we do see that collapsing, but no time soon. In your future time, but a gradual collapse. But much has to be done with humanity, and it has to become less narcissistic to each other. is it's much of that energy, the ego, the fear, allowing these things to take a breather, take a walk. Humanity will see itself much more differently in a positive direction if these things are removed. They at least take a break for some time. And if
or at least we should know like how powerful we are. That we are all the owners of this land. That nobody owns the land, but I've been learning about something called the Straw Man Act, which basically supposedly means that we humans, at least in the United States, are chattel to the government.
Yes.
We are like the human resources, and
yes,
supposedly when our parents prepare our birth certificates, we're basically signing ourselves as chattel to the government, and that could be looked at as bad, but at the same time, I guess those who are familiar with the Straw Man Act and able to cash in on it somehow, like get their bills paid off via the Treasury Department, supposedly have been successful in doing that.
yes, there's one more thing I wanted to add, and then I would probably begin going.
Okay.
Is that as you are born into this world, you take an energy. You're a part of this energy, and your elitists are sucking the energy from you. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have money and all that. So you're part of your job, but they're sucking the energy of vampires. Mm-hmm. They're absorbing your low vibration and spewing on others. If you have a low vibration, they're placing it on others. They have technology, they have ways of doing it. I know it's very difficult to explain it here, but you're part of an energy force at a low vibration that's done well. As your vibrations become more positive, they lose their strength, and you feel because you're always feeling vibrations from everyone, even if you're not around them, you're feeling the vibrations of your earth. So you're all connecting to each other. But if you have a monetary system, you're already like you're born and put into a cage instantly. So if you don't have that cage around you, you have more freedom where you can go and do whatever you want and think whatever you want. Your vibration is sky high. Yes, you might not be perfect, but that's the idea behind it. Instead of having restrictions around you. As a youngster, if you can go wherever you want, I want to go to this place or that place across your planet alone, that would keep your vibration up. And this is what your elites do not want. They want to keep you. And yes, of course, you can manifest what you want, but it does become more difficult as you get older. And sometimes your timeline's not always meant for that because you have a different way of going about it. But there's much that can be released in generations to come. We do see a generation shift 3 generations from now as it becomes more positive. As this type of energy comes, yes, it's going to be some time. More of this type of hippie way of living, but with your monetary system becoming less of importance, and there'll be other ways of finding. We do see many becoming more part of your nature also. That's for looking there. But either way, I have to go. Is there anything else before I leave?
No, thank you very much for coming, yes. Agent N. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
We look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yes, we'll be watching you.
Oh, yes. Say hi next time.
Well, greetings.
Greetings. Welcome back, Ivan.
All right.
It's always a pleasure having Agent N. Very interesting.
Yeah, I felt them around when
Neiman was here. It's like having Novak, but a different version.
Yeah. I feel from that.
A little,
Not like screw you humans. I get it's just,
a little drier sense of humor.
yeah.
I like learning about their dating situation. That was interesting.
Great.
They're like, yes, we get our deliveries.
Great meat market.
We have our fetishes and stuff like that. Oh, okay, that's great to know. It's awesome.
So, all right. Is there any outro you want to do or anything? Or
Outros. I wanted to talk to you all night, Ivan. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Oh, wow, yeah. See,
Well, Ivan.
You started at 8 o'clock. It's now 10:30.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we got a lot to air. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ivan, for being on another edition of Off the Deep End. And thank you to my listeners, too, for listening to another edition. Ivan, can you tell us once again where our listeners can find you?
Yeah, go on your internet. Just go to ivantower.com, or you can go to YouTube. Just search for Ivan Tower. You can go to your phone, your the Play Store, for apps on your Apple phone or your Android phone for apps. Just like Ivan Tower, should be able, if it's updated fully, you can get the schedule of the webinars and audio of the webinars and the YouTube videos.
All right. Thanks, Ivan, and thanks to my listeners. And listen or watch out for another edition of the show. Thank you very much, and have a nice night.